Since the communication process involves both sending the message and receiving the message, we'll want to look at important aspects of each. The first part of the process we'll look at is sending the message, or encoding. Being an effective sender is someone that would be able to effectively determine the appropriate audience. And what I mean by this is, not always will you be talking to the project team or certain stakeholders within your project. At some instances, you may be talking to sponsorship or executive levels or outside resources, consultants, contractors, and so on. And it will be important for you as a project manager to work with your project team and to determine the appropriate audience level that you will be communicating with throughout the project. Being an effective sender also means being able to use various communication mediums. Not only should you rely on email communications throughout your day-to-day activities, but what else can you use to communicate effectively throughout the project? This may involve weekly status reports, graphical representation, presentations, phone calls, or voice conference calls with the project team and other external resources. Being able to use a wide variety of communication mediums will allow you to communicate effectively to various types of stakeholders within your project setting. And also, being an effective sender is someone that is able to use clear and concise information to communicate the message they are trying to send out. Are you sending out long emails or long status reports that contain duplicate information or may have contradictory information? Before sending out any communication, always be sure to have someone proofread it, or you proofread someone else's communication to make sure it is truly on point with what you're trying to communicate to the audience. In comparison, someone that is not an effective sender is someone that uses only one medium or may not have a clear and concise message. Typically, within our office setting or day-to-day work environments, we find ourselves relying heavily on email. This is a very ineffective way to communicate many aspects of the project. How many times have you sent an email and assumed that someone has read the email and then come to find out that they either have not opened the email or deleted the email because they have so many in their email box? So as a project manager or member of the project team, or with any activity on a project, you always want to make sure that if you send an email, always can follow back up and ask the person to make sure they have received the email and understood the message. Being an ineffective sender may also mean that you're inconsistent. Inconsistent communication means that you may only be providing communication to some of your favorite stakeholders. This may be a friend that you work with on a project, or a sponsor that you get along with very well. And often this leads to any bad past experiences tends to make you kind of introverted with your communication styles. Please be sure not to let past influences or experiences impact your future communication styles. Be sure to be an effective sender by communicating to everyone across the project and not withholding information back from any stakeholders. Another characteristic of an ineffective sender is choosing to withhold information. Within organizational politics, this is often the case where people withhold information to not only protect their jobs, but to protect information from other key business groups or units that they may feel is threatening to their position or project success. This is not ethical as a project manager, but also, in order to be a true effective sender, you want to make sure that all the knowledge is shared across the project, especially to all stakeholders involved with the project, as they are identified within the stakeholder register and communication plan. Everyone needs to have a level playing field when it comes to the project and understanding the project current status, outcomes, deliverables, and measures of success. And finally, someone that is not an effective sender is someone that is not willing to take the time to listen to what others are saying. How many times have you been talking with someone and you hear them talking, but in your mind you're thinking about what you're going to respond next without truly listening to what they are saying? This is a very common practice that we all implement, either subconsciously or consciously. But be mindful as you're listening to someone talk. Pay attention to what they are saying. And if needed, rephrase and respond back with a paraphrasing what they've said to you so that you make sure that you clearly understand what it is they're saying. This will not only help you become an effective sender, but also an effective receiver of the message as well. Now let's look at the receiver role and identify what it means to be an effective receiver. Like we previously talked about in the sender role, being an effective receiver is someone that is able to listen, understand, then reinterpret the information that they are receiving. If you cannot interpret the information that you are receiving or decoding the information, then you do not truly fully understand the message that is being conveyed to you. So practice, once you hear someone talk or receive a message, practice decoding the message and then relaying it to someone else to make sure that you have truly understood the message. And often the appropriate party to relay this information back to is the sender. That way, you know the communication process has been completed. Another attribute of an effective receiver is someone that has practiced active listening. Active listening involves making eye contact, making small general body gestures to show that you understand what the sender is saying. Another attribute of active listening is asking clarifying questions. So tell me more about what you're saying, or is this what you mean? Those are key, simple questions to ask to the sender of the message in order to make sure that you're actively listening to what the sender is saying. Similar to the way we reviewed an ineffective sender, an ineffective receiver is someone that appears distracted or too busy to listen to what it is you're trying to say. This is very visible in a project meeting setting when you have someone within the room on their computer typing on the keyboard while another person is talking. This is not only distracting to the speaker, but to the other members of the team, and this brings down everyone within the room not understanding what is truly being said. So as you go throughout your project communications, always be sure you practice active listening and do not appear distracted when the sender is relaying the message. And finally, an ineffective receiver is someone that is passive within their communication. And this is the opposite of active listening. Passive listening is when you talk with someone and they're saying, okay, I'll get back to you. You can truly experience that they've not fully understood what it is you're trying to say. They may be hearing you, but they don't fully understand you. So whenever you come across someone that may be presenting these attributes and you feel that they're not truly listening to what you're saying, always be sure to ask, now do you fully understand what it is? Or can you reinterpret what I've said? Can you restate back to me what I've said? To make sure they are effectively listening to what it is you're saying. As a project manager, I find myself taking on many different roles within the organization. In some projects, I may find myself having to facilitate meetings or conducting brainstorming sessions, while on other projects, I may find myself doing primarily data analysis or organizing templates for communication. And I say all this because don't get stuck in a rut in one project and think you'll never have an opportunity to apply different skills on other projects. As you continue your project management career, it'll be vital that you develop these soft communication skills within the project management portfolio, because you'll never know what aspects that you'll be asked to play on projects as you advance.